everyone. Welcome back to Think Outside the Board for the second crowdfunding roundup of February 2024. In today's video, we're going to be looking at the campaigns that launched between February the 7th and the 13th, and I'm going to be sharing with you my picks from everything that launched during that period. These are just the games that I think look the best, that are the safest campaigns to back, things that don't have a lot of high risk involved. Almost all of these are already funded. There may be one or two that are close to funding, and I'm fairly certain will fund by the time the campaign ends. But I don't have anything in there that's likely to not fund. So I'm trying to do a lot of the work for you so that you don't have to go hunting and pecking through the various crowdfunding platforms, because now we've got Kickstarter, Gamefound, and BackerKit, but so that you can just use my videos as kind of a one-stop shop. That could be for people who are inexperienced and just want someone to hold their hand as we look through crowdfunding projects, or it could be somebody who has a lot more experience with crowdfunding but doesn't want to take the time to do all of that slogging work. So hopefully, if your tastes are similar to mine, meaning you really like medium heavy to heavy Euros and complex dungeon crawlers and narrative exploration games, those are the games I tend to focus on. But I'm always looking for those real gems of lighter games, and I'm always looking to support newer designers and newer publishers, but those who have done the work and have a really professional, competent campaign. Now, as always, my videos are tabbed or bookmarked, so if you scroll over the play bar, you'll see the video subdivided up into chapters. Those are by campaign, by game. So if you don't have the time to watch the whole video, you can just find what you're looking for, go right to that section, get the information you need, and be in and out. Also, I have links to all the campaigns that we're talking about. So if there's a campaign that interests you, you can just click on more, go into the description section down below there, find the link, click on it. It will take you right to the campaign. You can spend some more time looking at and or back that game. And the best way to support this channel is still to like or subscribe, and I really appreciate it if you would like to do that. Without any further ado, let's get started on the 9 different campaigns that we have to go over today. We're going to start with Conservas from Salt and Pepper. And every time I see that publisher's name, I want to pronounce it like Patrick Stewart when he announced Salt and Pepper on Saturday Night Live, and he said, "Salt and Pepper." But that's what I think of every time I see this publisher's name. Anyway, we've got 5 different campaigns that are on Gamefound today. So there's a pretty good showing from Gamefound. This is the first campaign we're going to be looking at. This launched on February the 7th. We're kind of looking at things in chronological order. So this was the first one. They're currently at $49,000 in funding, almost, off of an $8,000 funding goal, which means they're doing about 6 times that funding goal currently. But they do have a good amount of time left on this campaign, 19 days. And if we click on Learn More, it'll kind of flip this little title card over, and it will tell us that the campaign is ending on March 7th. It even gives you a time, 7 a.m. So all good things to know. This is a solo bag building game from Scott Almes, who's probably currently best known for Beer and Bread, Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea, the entire Tiny Epic line, and Warp's Edge. And this is about owning and operating a small tinning company in Spain. And throughout the course of gameplay, you're going to be fishing, and then you're going to be selling your tinned fish. The art on this is by Jorge Tabanera Redondo. He's currently best known for a game called Barrio, which he also designed, and the newest version of Cities, which will be out later this year, I believe, and that is a co-design from Steve Finn and Phil Walker Harding that's being put out by Devere. And Devere is one of my favorite new publishers within the last several years. Everything they put out is awesome, and so I think Jorge Tabanera Redondo is off to a good start if he's working on a game from that publisher. This game, Conservas, is published by Salt and Pepper Games, and they just had a game on crowdfunding a little while ago, 3 to 6 months ago maybe, called The Battle of Versailles. They're also probably best known for The Hunt and Witchcraft. Now, there's no video here. I tend to like to show you the videos with the campaigns, but I do try to stick to the videos that were put out by the publisher that are at the top of the page. That the purpose of those videos is to advertise the campaign. I try not to use other videos, from down in the campaign page from other content creators, because that could be seen as being unfair to them, kind of nesting their video in my video. But I do try to show the videos that were designed to show off the game for the campaign when they exist, and there isn't really one in this case. So let's just kind of scroll down a little bit. It is a very simple campaign. It's a bag building game for a solo gamer, for one player. So it's kind of very specific in terms of if this is going to be a game for you or not. And there's only one pledge, so if this is something that you want to back, it's going to be a very simple decision. But let's take a look at what's in the box here to see kind of what the components look like, since we don't actually have a video. So you're going to be getting a market book with 12 unique scenarios, each with 2 levels of difficulty. I really like having scenarios and different difficulty levels in solo games. It gives you a lot of variability, and it allows you to sort of dive into it like it's a campaign game, which to me is just a lot more fun than just playing a game over and over. So here's some of those cards that are coming with this game, and the tokens and things like that. Because there's only one pledge with this, there's not like a deluxe version with upgraded stuff. So what you see here as we kind of slowly scroll through this, that is what you're going to be getting. And then there is kind of a how to play here with gifts. So you've got your phase 1 at the sea, where you're going to be pulling stuff out of your bag. You're going to be using those things to place on boats. Then you go back to land with the stuff that you caught. You can discard those tokens, spend money to upgrade your fleet, and then you're going to be left with the fish and stuff, and you got to pay upkeep. So that's kind of the general gameplay cycle. There are some other videos here from other content creators, so if you do want to look at, a gameplay video or someone who's talking about it a little more in depth, you can go to the page and take a look at some of these other videos. Okay, but let's take a look at the really sole pledge here, which is for the base game, Conservas. It's relatively inexpensive as Kickstarters go. It is just kind of a solo game, and probably on the smaller size footprint-wise. It is a $25 pledge. It's going to have $15 in shipping, which means if you're in the continental US, because when I talk about shipping, I'm always talking for the continental US. So that $15 is for the lower 48. If you're anywhere else in the world, Alaska, Hawaii, or other countries, you'll need to figure out the shipping for where you are and make that adjustment. But if you're in the continental US, with shipping, you're looking at a total all-in price here of $40. And there are no add-ons. It's just simply a case of, do you want to pledge this game or not? And I think for people who know Scott Almes and really like the Tiny Epic series, this one could be a no-brainer for them. There's also a couple other pledges for multiple copies, but I'm approaching this from the point of view as you are, a single consumer who's just looking for one copy of the game. And this is going to be delivered fairly soon, 3-4 months here in July 2024. That is the month they're targeting to deliver this. So that is the first of our campaigns. It's over on Gamefound. We're going to stick on Gamefound for the next 3 campaigns, beginning with this honking big campaign from CMON, A Song of Ice and Fire Tactics, a tabletop miniatures skirmish game. Now, this campaign launched on February the 9th. If we flip this over, we can see that the campaign will run until February the 22nd. And currently they have $916,000 in funding. That's off of a $300,000 funding goal, so they only have a multiplier of 3 times. But this is the highest funded campaign of the week. Now, CMON, I think most people know CMON, but if you happen to not, they do a lot of huge campaigns with a lot of miniatures, extra miniatures, expansion content, just huge stuff. So if you go all in on their campaigns, when that thing comes, you're going to be getting just 6 boxes, just massive amounts of gameplay. So it's always a good idea, I think, to take a step back with CMON games. Ask yourself, how much am I actually going to play this huge game? And then maybe pare back the pledge to get something that's a little more reasonable, both in price and just kind of bulk of gameplay and bulk of game. But if you are super excited for a Game of Thrones miniatures tactics game from CMON, maybe you want to go all in with this and really kind of go big. The other thing that we should probably note is this is designed as a skirmish game between 2 players playing head-to-head. So this is not something you're going to be playing with 3 to 4 players, you know, on a game day with multiple people. This is going to be a game for 2 players to play together. It is co-designed by Fabio Curio, who really made his name with Marvel Zombies. That's kind of all he's done, but because there's so much Marvel Zombies stuff, he has a ton of things right now under his design list because there's just boxes and boxes of Marvel Zombicide stuff. His co-designer is Olivier Zamforescu, who's probably best known for Dust Tactics and then the later evolution of that license called Dust 1947. And CMON is a publisher. Right now, their most popular stuff is Ankh, Gods of Egypt, Blood Rage, Cthulhu Death May Die, Rising Sun, the entire Zombicide line. So we have a 1-minute video here. I'm going to quickly show you kind of what's going on with this game and what it looks like. And then we are going to take a look at the 3 pledge tiers and a bunch of add-ons, many of those add-ons which are not included in the pledge tiers. CMON's also kind of notorious for putting in more and more content over the course of the campaign, often right up until the last 24 hours. And then once they've done that, they often do add in more pledges right at the last minute that collect everything together. There's no way for me to really cover that because those decisions are made so late in the game and those pledges are published on their page so late in the game that by the time I would shoot the video, get it up and get it published, there barely would be a chance for anyone to see it, and then they would have no time left to even make a decision. So I do these videos when I do them, about a week after the campaign's launch, and CMON is one of the 1 or 2 publishers maybe that it gets a little trickier with because the pledges evolve over time and a lot more stuff gets added in. So if you are really interested in this, before you pledge it, you may want to wait a little bit longer and kind of watch the campaign and see what else gets added in. But we're going to look at everything that is there currently. So let's start with a look at this video here, and then we will check out those pledges and add-ons. Okay, so that gives you at least a feel for, you know, what the game is going to look like, and that it is a tactics game, and it's going to be on these hex grid maps, and you're going to have a lot of plastic miniatures. Now, before we kind of dive into this and start looking at these pledges, I do want to make a couple of notes. There are terrain packs for almost all of the skirmish sets, but those are sold separately. So sometimes things are bundled together, sometimes they're not. But if you want the terrain packs, you'll need to double check and make sure the way you're pledging, you're getting them. And then they do, as CMON often does, has this kind of gigantic, ridiculous, expensive miniature. In this case, it's Drogon, and I am likening it to the Galactus that was available with Marvel Zombies. So it is this huge statue. It sort of has a little gameplay purpose, but they have recognized that it's a very expensive item, and some people may want that gameplay without having to buy this huge honking statue. So they did include a way to achieve that gameplay without the statue, although it's a little weird because you're just kind of on a bare board where the statue would normally be. But I kind of wanted you to know that up front. terrain often separately, and then big expensive statue you may or may not want or be able to afford, and there are options to kind of work around it somewhat. So here are our 3 pledges here. We're going to start looking at Pledge Without Banners. This is a $60 pledge. And CMON has super expensive shipping for this campaign, as they've been doing more and more lately, and at least that prevents them from having to come back later and say, hey guys, we underestimated shipping, we've really gotten boned, we're taking a loss on this, we might need to ask you for shipping again, which, Mythic Games was doing that a lot before they went under. So I think you're not going to have to worry about that with CMON, but that does mean that the sticker price for their shipping is really high up front. It's like almost half the game for whatever pledge. So for this one, Pledge Without Banners, $60, $33 in shipping, $93 total. You're just getting one thing with this. You're getting the kind of base core tactic skirmish set, which is called Battle of the Trident. They do have more skirmish sets, which they'll be adding in as we go through the pledges, but this is kind of the first one. See right there, Battle of the Trident skirmish set. That's all you're getting. No stretch goals included. Nothing. Just this. $93. That's the base pledge. Okay, if you want to get a little fancier, you've got the Sworn Brother pledge. This is an $80 pledge with $45 in shipping, or $125 total. This is going to throw in a terrain pack for Battle Beneath the Well and Battle Beneath the Well itself. I'm sorry, Battle Beneath the Wall. So that is a second skirmish set. So you're still getting Battle of the Trident, but now you're also getting the Battle Beneath the Wall skirmish set and the terrain pack for Battle Beneath the Wall. You'll notice you're not getting the terrain set for Battle of the Trident. There is no pledge that includes the terrain set for Battle of the Trident. It does exist, but if you want it, you're going to have to add it on no matter what level you pledge at. And then the third and final pledge is this Dracaris pledge. This is a pledge that includes that big dragon statue. It is a $260 pledge with $110 in shipping for $370 total. Now, look at this. You're still getting the Battle Beneath the Wall terrain pack and skirmish set. You're still getting the Battle of the Trident skirmish set, but now they are throwing in this Drogon's Fury diorama. That's the big statue. It's got this kind of some terrain underneath it. And then you're also getting the Drogon's Fury print components. So these are the components that actually let you play the gameplay. You will need both of these if you want to play with the statue, but you can play with just the print components and no statue sitting there. But you'll notice that in this huge pledge here, you're still not getting the terrain set for Battle of the Trident, so that you still would need to add that on. Okay, where can I show you? Let's see, Drogon's Fury here. So this is what that big honking statue looks like. This, it's going to come unpainted. They're showing it painted throughout the campaign, like up in this icon, but it's going to be unpainted, and that's what it looks like. And he's kind of like on these castle turrets, confronting a legend, right? And then these are kind of the map tiles that are going to go underneath with the print components and things. And we will... let's just jump down there right now. Let's take a look at the add-ons. So there's a bunch of things. They kind of have this set up in groups of 3. So as you're looking at it, kind of as you look at a row, it's everything that goes together. So we've got the Riverlands skirmish set, which is a third skirmish set that's not included in any of the pledges. There's a Riverlands terrain pack, and then there's a Riverlands bundle which combines these two things. So the skirmish set is $70. The terrain pack is $40. That would be $110 total, but if you get the bundle, they're knocking $10 off and giving it to you for $100. There is a King's Landing skirmish set. There's also a King's Landing terrain pack, and then again a King's Landing bundle. So same kind of deal. $70 for the skirmish set, $45 for the terrain pack. That would be $115 total, but they're knocking $10 off and giving you the bundle for $105. This is a second skirmish set that wasn't even available yesterday when I was prepping this video. So this is what I'm saying about CMON constantly kind of adding things in. But this is now a second skirmish set that is not included in any of the pledges. It's technically the fourth skirmish set because there are 2 skirmish sets included in those pledges. Then you've got that Drogon's Fury special expansion, and this alone as an add-on is $180. And again, they show this painted here. It's not going to come painted. It's going to look like this. And this is what it looks like set up on one of those map tiles, and you can see these print components. But you would need to get both things. I think they're showing us right here. Yeah, if you get the special expansion, you are getting both things. So you're getting both the diorama and the print components. You could get them separately, right? You've got the print components right here for $25, and this just looks like that. So you could play this without the big dragon and castle there. You've got everything you need. You just can kind of imagine the dragon if you want. It's definitely a much cheaper version, though. It's only $25 for the print components. Whereas, where do they have the diorama down here? Do they even have it separately as an add-on? It looks like they don't. So I don't think there's a way to actually add that on. You're either going to get it, in a bundle, which makes sense because you couldn't play it without the print components. So if you're getting that thing and you want it for anything other than putting it up on your wall, you still would need the print components. But it is $155 less to just get the print components if you don't want to get this huge statue. They also have the Battle of the Trident terrain pack down here as an add-on. And this is important because this is the terrain pack for the very first pledge, that Pledge Without Banners, and Battle of the Trident skirmish set. And that is included in all of the pledges, but the terrain pack is not included in any of them. So if you want that terrain pack, you will need to add it on. There's also a dice tray for $10. It looks like a pretty nice dice tray, perhaps faux leather. And then finally, there are these two other add-ons. One is called Brotherhood Without Banners Reinforcement Pack, and this just gives you more characters, more miniatures that you can put into the game to give you more variability. These are kind of set neutral characters, so you can put them into any other sets and work with them. They have their own cards and abilities and things like that, their own personalities. And in this pack, you're getting 3 heroes, 4 champions, and 5 soldiers. Okay, that is the Brotherhood Without Banners reinforcement pack. There's also the Secrets and Whispers reinforcement pack. Again, a completely different set of characters, and it's a different mix of roles. So in this one, you've got 2 heroes, 5 champions, and 3 soldiers. And if you were going to add those together, if you were to get both packs, you would end up with 5 new heroes, 9 new champions, and 8 new soldiers between those 2 packs. But this is just something to give you more variability in gameplay and kind of mix up your factions and throw different elements into those factions. It may not be something that you need unless you really plan on playing this deep and you're getting deep into this, playing a lot to the point that you're going to exhaust your faction play and want some new kind of gameplay variability and change-ups. But if you do, it's all there. Okay, this campaign, if we go back up to the pledges, is currently slated to deliver in February 2025, so that's about a year away, which is actually, I think, pretty good for CMON, because they do these huge campaigns with all this stuff and all these miniatures, and if they're able to actually deliver it in a year, I think that's pretty respectable. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets delayed a bit, but this is a huge, ambitious project with just a lot of components and stuff. So that is our second campaign for the week. We're going to stay on Gamefound a little bit while longer to take a look at Aeon's End, The Descent. This one launched on February the 13th, and everything from now on that we're going to be looking at was a February the 13th launch. They've currently got $256,000 in funding off of a relatively small $10,000 funding goal, which means they've got a multiplier here of 25 times. That's huge. I guess the question is whether they lowballed that funding goal, and maybe they did. Aeon's End is generally a lot of cards, so they're not reinventing the wheel. They're just kind of throwing in new characters and new cards, new abilities and stuff. Everything's basically cards. But when you do cards in this volume, it can still be expensive. But there's not miniatures and things like that for them to worry about. So maybe their $10,000 is something they really could do. But obviously, it's way out of whack with where this thing is actually funding. And Aeon's End is one of my favorite 2 deck builders of all time, along with Thunderstone Quest. So I love this game. I'm always going to recommend this game. I thought maybe they had stopped with Aeon's End once they started doing the reskin spin-off game, Astro Knights, but they're back. There's a very interesting element, though, that's in this new Aeon's End campaign, which is a Friends and Foes mode designed by David Turksey. And I really like David Turksey a lot. He does a lot of great heavy Euros. He does some skirmish games. People talk about being an omni gamer, a gamer who likes all kinds of games. I think David's kind of an omni designer. He gets his feet wet in a lot of stuff. He does roll and write games, just everything under the sun. And he's done a lot of solo modes for a lot of other games, but I've never seen him work on Aeon's End before. It's kind of exciting. And the way the Friends and Foes module or mode is going to work is that normally when you play Aeon's End, you're going to have some characters who are fighting like a big creature, a big bad, a big villain, and that villain is threatening to destroy a village, a town. And with the new Friends and Foes module, your characters will get a friend to help them, and then there will be an additional foe on the villain side. So it kind of balances itself out, but it gives you some more mechanics, new type of gameplay, a little more variability. And then the new expansion here is called The Descent, and as is the case with all of the Aeon's End content, whenever they do a new expansion, they also have two kind of smaller mini expansions. One is usually just some extra characters for doing the Kickstarter, some extra stuff, and then one is a collection of the stretch goals pack. In addition to David Turksey, the game is designed by Sidney Engelstein, Nick Little, and Kevin Riley. That group seems to have been doing a lot of the Aeon's End stuff for the last several cycles of content. Kevin Riley is the Aeon's End guy. So he designed the original game, and at this point in time, that's most of what he's done because there's been so much Aeon's End stuff, and he's just been there designing all of it. And then in the last, several cycles, Sidney Engelstein and Nick Little have come on, and they've stuck with it, so they're kind of really deep in this as well now. And they're also working together quite a bit, and working together, they also designed Astro Knights, Space Cadets, and Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition. Now, there's not a good video for me to look at, for me to show you. They don't have a video up here that is designed for the campaign. They just have several videos from various content creators, which again, I don't want to kind of nest inside my video. So we're not going to watch a video this time around, but just know that Aeon's End is an awesome, amazing deck building game where you've got a group of fighters who are fighting a big bad and trying to save a town or a village. And the variability comes from the different characters that you play with, the different villains that you fight, the different towns, because the towns generally have a little ability as well. So you kind of randomize that content, and you've got a lot of gameplay variability. And then there also will be variability for your various characters as their cards come through, and you decide which ones to buy and which ones to trigger and which ones to use and all of that stuff. So let's just get started looking at the pledge levels here. There are 9, I think, different pledge levels here, which is a lot, but the reason there are so many is that most of these pledge levels just add on certain amounts of previous waves of content. I believe there's been like 7 waves previously, and within those 7 waves are 2 waves of legacy campaigns. So there's been 2 legacy game versions of this as well. So I think there's been 5 other waves of content and then 2 legacy games. So you can get all of that in this campaign if you really want to spend a lot of money, but something you should know in advance is that if you just buy The Descent, you can play it standalone. So you do not need to get the very first Aeon's End base game. You can play it by itself. And the first pledge right here is called, where is it? Fate's Edge. So this is a $69 pledge. It's got $20 in shipping, and this is going to get you, as I was describing before, the new kind of big standalone expansion, The Descent, and then the 2 smaller things here, which are called, in this case, the Caverns and the Abyss. And if we look at the Caverns, this requires, some base game of Aeon's End to play. It can be The Descent. It's compatible with all the stuff. It has 2 new mages, 1 new friend, 1 new foe, a new nemesis, 90 new cards, and supply cards and stuff like that. So this is the expansion that just adds on a smattering of content. And then this one, The Abyss, this is what is going to be composed of by all of the stretch goals and stuff. So you've got milestone cards, and they're putting this together as the campaign is progressing. So there is a more expensive pledge here that's still kind of the new stuff. It's called All the New Stuff, and it's going to take the content from Fate's Edge and add 3 things onto it. A playmat, which is new with this campaign because it's got the art for the Descent. If you have Aeon's End previously and you have other playmats for it, you probably don't need a new playmat. There's also an accessory pack, and whenever you're playing Aeon's End, you're going to have a bunch of different characters. And you could equate this a little bit to like Arkham Horror, the card game, where if you want to have all of the possibilities for that character, there aren't enough cards in the game to have that kind of set up, like pre-set up for all of the characters. So you'll need to decide which characters you want to use on your adventures and then get the cards for those characters, but that will mean that you can't easily swap in and out all of the many other characters in the set. If you want to have enough of those, kind of starting cards so that you can get starter decks for all of the different mages and just have them ready to go, then you need that accessory pack, which has a lot of extra copies of those starter cards. They also have Tales of Old Greyhold in this, which is kind of a new extra little expansion. Tales of Old Gravehold. It requires some version of Aeon's End to play. And it includes 1 new mage, 2 new player cards, 2 new expedition booklets to use with original Aeon's End and Aeon's End War Eternal. So they like to do this a lot as they're putting out these new waves of content. They like to find new ways to breathe more life into the earlier games. And they did that somewhat with the Legacy game, I think, where you could use those components with the earlier stuff. And obviously with this, some of the stuff, the expedition booklets, are being designed so that you can go back and kind of get some more life into those older, the first 2 waves of content. So anyway, all of these things are coming in all the new stuff. $124, $25 in shipping, $149 total. Now, if we go to a pledge like this, you're seeing with this, they're backing out the playmat, they're backing out the accessory pack, and they're backing out that Tales of Old Gravehold kind of mini expansion. They're just giving you this pledge, but then they're giving you another whole wave of content, and you can decide which one you want from all of the waves of content. There's, well, we'll get to it. We'll look through it because it's going to be in the add-ons too. But this gives you the new stuff, not all the new stuff, just the new game plus the 2 mini expansions, and then 1 wave of content. $140, $30 in shipping, $170 total. And I'm just going to kind of breeze through the next ones because all they're doing is adding on more waves of content. So for this one, you're getting 2 additional waves of content. This is $205 with $40 of shipping, $245 total. This is with 3 more waves of content, $270, $50 in shipping, $320 total. Spiritual Infusion pledge with 4 additional waves of content, $335 with $60 in shipping for $395 total. We've got Fountain of Elements with 5 additional waves of content, a $400 pledge with $70 in shipping, $470 total. Boundless Engulf, $465. This is with 6 additional waves of content, $80 in shipping for $545 total. And then the big all-in pledge, all-out barrage. It's going to be the new stuff with all previous 7 waves of content. This is a $530 pledge, $85 in shipping, $615 total. Now, if we go down, we're going to see everything broken out into add-ons. So the top 3 things were the additional items that are new items that weren't included with the first pledge. So this is the stuff right here that was in that second pledge, all the new stuff. So you can get these separately. If you want to just add on this new playmat, it's $25. If you just want to add on the accessory pack, it's $15. And if you just want to add on Tales of Old Gravehold, that is $15 as well. If we add these up, this is $30 plus $25, $55. And so with their bundle, they're not giving you any additional savings. They're just grouping it together. They also have sleeves. And I believe, because I've been getting sleeves from them in the past, I think in the past they were just clear sleeves, but now they've got all these custom sleeves. And they've got sleeves designed for every single wave. And so depending what waves you're adding on, you are good. If you want sleeves, you're going to want to get the appropriate sleeves. So for instance, wave 2 is $45, wave 1 is $40. This probably has more sleeves. So if you were to, get the wave 1 sleeves and try to use it with wave 2, you're not going to have enough. So just make sure whichever wave of content you're adding on, if you do want sleeves, you're getting the right wave of sleeves. For instance, if we go into here and we look at this, the wave 1 sleeves includes 350 player card sleeves, 90 Nemesis sleeves, 20 Nemesis side deck sleeves, and 15 turn order sleeves. And then if we look at wave 2, it's a different makeup. So you've got 350 player card sleeves, 120 Nemesis card sleeves, 20 Nemesis side deck sleeves, and 15 turn order sleeves. 350, 120, 20, and 15. 350, 90, 20, and 15, right? So you're getting 30 less sleeves in this, which is why it's a few bucks less. But it's going to be like that for all of the waves, and the bigger waves are going to be more expensive because you're going to need more sleeves. But it's a lot of sleeves here, right? And then they also have sleeves for the accessory packs. So if you maybe just are getting one accessory pack, you probably just want to get the player card sleeves here. But if you're getting all of the accessory packs throughout everything Aeon's End has done, you can just add on this pack, which will give you 600 player card sleeves. So that is like 12 of these. And 12 of these times 6 would be, I believe, 72. So they actually are giving you a discount on this, discounting at $17 down to $55. There are also individual neoprene player mats. So you can get a big, kind of central player mat like that Descent mat. But if you want to have individual mats for the players, you can add them on $15 each. Then there are some promo packs from throughout their various campaigns. There's the Legacy Promos pack for $5. There is a 12 card promo pack here for $5. And then they've got accessory packs, which give you, kind of more of the base cards, more dice, more gems. This just, if you're playing with a lot of players, it's a little easier if you kind of have more gems and more dice. There are accessory packs for different waves as well. So I believe there's one for each of the 5 non-legacy game waves. So if you're wanting the accessory pack, again, you're going to make sure that you match it up with the wave that you're adding on. And then they've got divider packs so that in your storage you can kind of more easily organize the groups of cards. And these are named after the various base games and expansions, so you can get the dividers specifically for that content. This one's for War Eternal. There's an Aeon's End, the New Age promo pack, so they're telling you, which wave it's from, so you can get that promo pack as well if you're getting that wave of content. There's a promo pack for Outcasts, a promo pack for Legacy of Gravehold, promo pack for Past and Future. And then we start to get into the waves of content themselves if you wanted to add these on. So the original OG base game here is $48 as an add-on, and then these are the 2 kind of smaller expansions that came with it. The Depths, which is a $16 add-on, and the Nameless, which is also a $16 add-on. This is a small expansion from Wave 1. That's all they describe it as. And then also a small expansion. I forget, one of these is the collection of stretch goals, and one of them is just kind of like additional content, and I forget which is which. But they do that for every single wave. So here you've got War Eternal. This was the second wave to come out, and then the 2, smaller expansions that went along with that, the Void and the Outer Dark. The third wave was the Legacy game, and then they did a mini expansion for that called Buried Secrets. And then instead of doing like a stretch goals pack, they did a reset pack so you can reset the Legacy game and play it again. The fourth wave of content was the New Age. That again has 2 mini expansions. I'm just kind of glossing over and not mentioning the prices at this point because there's no reason to list everything, but I want to make sure that it's kind of clear how the content is grouped. Then we've got, I think this is, let's see, which content are we up to? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So Outcast was the 5th wave, 2 expansions with that. And then we've got Legacy of Gravehold, which was the 6th. And this is kind of the second Legacy campaign, the first one being just Legacy. So this one is Legacy of Gravehold. It's also got a reset pack. It's also got a mini expansion. And you'll notice that these two mini expansions go along with Outcasts, but there is this one mini expansion here, Into the Wild, that didn't go along with anything. It's just kind of its own thing. This small expansion is not a part of any Wave bundle, but this is just additional content, and it's something they did, and you can just throw it in if you want it, but it's not specifically for any Wave. And then we've got the final wave of content, the one that they just delivered fairly recently, Past and Future. And again, you've got the base game for that and the two little mini expansions that went along with it. You've also got Legacy of Gravehold player mats if you wanted individual player mats that are themed more for the Legacy game. So that is everything. It is a honking lot of content, and if you wanted all of it, doing this all-out barrage pledge will not even get you all of it, because you're not going to be getting... Let's go back to it. It won't be including any of the promo packs. It won't be including any of the sleeves. It won't be including any of the divider sets. The accessory packs, won't be getting that. So, you know, if you really want everything, you're going to have to go through and add on a lot of other extras that aren't included in the various pledges. Into the Wild also you need to add on, so that's not connected with any of those previous waves. And then if you want player mats, you'll need to add those on as well. So the all-in for you, if you're wanting everything, is going to be significantly more than the all-in pledge, right? Because there's a lot of additional stuff, and probably hundreds of dollars worth of stuff that you could add on to this in terms of promos, dividers, accessory packs, player mats, sleeves. So this could be probably easily over $1,000 if you just wanted to go and get what would essentially be 8 games plus 16 and then the extra like 17 mini expansions. It's a lot of content. And I think even people who are huge fans of Aeon's End are getting a little overwhelmed at this point, because it's like, it takes up so much space. Do I have time to play through all this content? So if you're super excited and you're wanting to dive in deeply, maybe just don't do the all-in yet. Back a few waves of content, see how far it gets you, and you can always pick up stuff on their inevitable next campaign at some point. But this new campaign here for Aeon's End, The Descent, and all of this other stuff, they are shooting to deliver this in January 2025. And we've got 2 more campaigns on Gamefound to look at. This is the last one for now. Then we'll go to Kickstarter, look at 4 Kickstarter campaigns, and then come back to Gamefound for the final campaign of the week. This one is called Dieson Crusoe, and it's interesting because Robinson Crusoe from Portal Games is just finally delivering right now. I just got my copy. And this reminds me of almost like a tiny epic version of Robinson Crusoe, right? It's a similar theme. You're going to be trying to keep Robinson Crusoe alive on this island, and you're going to be doing some similar things, but it's a very scaled back kind of version of that. It has no connection to it. It's not the same designer. It's not the same publisher. It's just a similar kind of game with a similar theme that's got a much smaller footprint, smaller amount of components, and a much smaller price tag. So if you're looking for, a smaller, more manageable, more handleable version of Robinson Crusoe, this could be something that is up your alley. So this is also on Gamefound, obviously. This launched on February the 13th. The campaign is going to run until February the 29th. And they're currently funded with $17,000 off of a $5,000 funding goal. So they're operating at about 3 times that funding goal. Now, this is a solo dice game with a rondel. It was originally self-published in 2022 by a Korean publisher, and it is co-designed by 2 Korean designers, Hayo, who's also known for a game called Patata Batata, and Jin Yi Han, who's probably best known for a game called Dice Tiny Town. But these are 2 Korean designers who haven't designed that many games, and this might be the first publishing of their work kind of for Western audiences. This is being published here, this new version, by Gabe Barrett and Barrett Publishing. And Gabe Barrett publishes his own designs through Barrett Publishing. He's published stuff like Dungeon Ball, The Final Flictier, and the Hunted series that includes Kobayashi Tower, which is kind of like a die-hard survival game. It's like a solo game. And then he did another themed version of it called Mining Colony 415. I haven't played that one, but I think it might be sort of like an Alien or Aliens theme. But because he's designed and published those two solo games, that makes me think that he's in a really good place to publish this solo game. And in fact, if we look at him as a publisher, let's just do this quickly, and we look at his other projects, we can see that he's started this line called Solo Game of the Month, and he's going to try to be doing a campaign a month. And in January, he did one of his designs, the second edition of Hunted Kobayashi Tower. And then this month, in February, he's publishing the first English version of Dieson Crusoe. It'll be interesting to see over time how he continues with this, if he tries to alternate a game with a game that he's finding out there and wanting to bring to U.S. audiences. I'm curious to see how often his games are in this and how often he does games from other designers. But it's a really neat idea, and I like the idea that he's trying to be supportive of other designers and kind of focus on solo stuff. So let's take a look at this 1-minute video, and then we'll go over the 2 pledges. I don't think that there are add-ons, and there are a lot of campaigns that we're going to be going over now in the next chunk of games that are smaller campaigns with a fewer number of pledges. Very simple pledge offerings. So kind of very easy to decide if it's something that you want to back. There aren't a lot of decisions to be made, like, do I want this version or this really extravagant version? There are a lot of games in this video today here that I think offer you some really good choices if you're just looking for a simple game that's not getting that complicated with the pledges and the add-ons and stuff. So let's watch this video, then we'll look at the pledges. So that's it, but at least it gives you an idea of what the components look like and the kind of footprint on the table. Now, if we go down here and we look at the actual pledges themselves, there's only 2. The first is a print and play. So this is a $5 pledge. There's no shipping on this. In March, after this campaign is done, they're just going to send you the files, and then you can print out everything yourself and kind of put together your experience. If you'd like the physical copy, though, you can pledge for Dieson Crusoe. This is a $24 pledge. It's got $5 in shipping, or $29 total. And you also will be getting the print and play with this pledge. So you get the print and play version and the physical version. They say that this is delivering in May 2024, so it's not going to be a huge wait for this. This is going to deliver in like 3 months. But I am unclear if they will be waiting until May to also send you the print and play stuff, or if they'll be sending you the print and play stuff in March with the backers who only back the print and play. It could go either way. It just depends on how they're subdividing the work for themselves. But either way, by May, you should have the physical game and certainly the print and play by then as well. Let's head over to Kickstarter now for the first of 4 Kickstarter campaigns. And this one is called Everstone Discovering Ignis. This was a February 13th launch. Campaign is going to run until March the 14th, so they had a pretty long campaign going here, about a month long. They've got $21,000 in funding right now, which means they are not funded yet. They have a $25,000 funding goal. However, obviously, if you're watching these videos, you know I look at a lot of campaigns. I sort through a lot of information through everything that's launched, basically, and I've kind of studied a lot of these campaigns. And I have noticed and made the conclusion that almost always you will see 2/3 of the funding done in the first 48 hours that the campaign is up, and the last third done in the last 24 hours. It just happens to be that most people's pledging habits are they're either going to jump in right when the campaign launches, Sometimes they don't hear about it for a day or two, so they might not get there right away, but they'll pledge right in that first 48-hour period. Or it'll be someone, this is kind of more what I do, where they'll watch the campaign for a while. They may have every intention of pledging, but they may wait until that final 24 hours to, execute that pledge. And certainly I think that's the right thing to do for something like CMON, because they don't have all of their pledges up until the very end. And so you may not know what you want to pledge at. But I think publishers who do that have gotten some backers in the habit of backing near the end. So people may be discovering the campaign in the middle. They may be looking at it. They may decide that they're going to back it. But a lot of times they don't go and pull that trigger until the very end. My reason for saying all of that is that means very likely that they will do, this is 2/3 of their total business, which means there'll be another 1/3 of this in the last 24 hours. And another 1/3 of that would be half of the value we're looking at, which means I'm guessing this is probably going to end up funding with over $30,000, somewhere between $30,000 and $35,000. So at that point, it will have met its funding goal. Now, this is from designer Sam McDavid and his company, McDavid Publishing, and artist TJ Jacob. All of these people are first-timers, which normally means that there's a lot more risk involved in a campaign like this because they haven't designed games before, they haven't published games before, they haven't run a crowdfunding campaign before. As well as you might prepare to do all of those things, there are always hiccups in the development process, in the production process, in getting things shipped overseas afterwards. Costs change, shipping costs change. The world right now is in constant turmoil. So prices change over the course of a year or two, and people who are doing this for the very first time are going to learn and discover things as they go. So there's a little more risk involved with something like this, but I think what they've done looks very professional. It looks like they've done their research, and they've done a lot of their work ahead of time, and so it is still something that I want to include, and I think this is going to be a really great game for people who like creature comforts and Everdell. It's kind of in that complexity range. Mechanically, this is using variable player powers, multi-use cards, hand management, contracts, open drafting, and chaining. They actually talk in this campaign quite a bit about how much they like the chaining in the game. Also, engine building. So there's a 1-minute video here. We're going to take a look at this. You'll get a look at the game and kind of some of the components and stuff, and then we'll come back and we'll look at the only pledge available. So this is another very simple campaign. There is just one pledge, no add-ons. If you want this game, you're going to have to decide whether to back that pledge or not, and that's the only decision you need to make.
Welcome to Everstone, Discovering Ignis, a fast-paced engine-building game about uncovering lost relics and earning as much reputation as possible to become the leader of Ignis. Everstone has a number of unique and exciting actions to take from your caravan board. On your turn, you can explore the land, moving your caravan token to influence surrounding villagers. Harvest by rolling 3 dice and moving up on one of the influence tracks, taking resources of the color you chose, or match the top of the relic deck to discover something thought to be forgotten. Barter at Ignis to claim relics and earn lucrative rewards. Repair these relics to help build up your engine, or sell them off for a potential game-changing prize. Looking to adventure alone? Set up Everstone for solo play. Choose from one of the 4 included opponents to challenge. Compete to get to the top of the reputation track before time runs out. Each challenger offers a different competition style, while still following a streamlined system to allow your energy and focus to find that path to victory. With over 70 unique relics to discover in Everstone, a new journey awaits you every time you play. Everstone, Discovering Ignis.
Okay. So, if we go down here, we will see, well, here's just more a look at the board art, card art, gifts, things like that. Are they going to show the pledge level here? No, they did right here. There's the pledge level right there. So there's just the one pledge, right? Core game, $59. It's got $18 in shipping, $77 total, and that's it. The only other pledge is the retailer pledge. So you just need to decide if this is a game for you or not. and right now they are planning on delivering this in January 2025. We're going to kind of continue looking at games of this ilk with Forks 2nd Edition. This one was also a February the 13th launch. The campaign is going to run until February the 29th. And in this case, we've got another game that has existed previously. It was originally called Forks. And here's what the art looks like on the original game. It's kind of bare bones, right? But this has been out for a few years. It's got a 6.7 rating. Jamie Stegmaier actually did a video on this, on liking one of the mechanics in here. It's a very, very light game. It's designed by Mark Stockton Pitt, who has also worked on Die of the Dead and Newspeak, and it's being published by Radical 8 Games, and that includes the original and this new version. The new version, however, though, I'm guessing that Mark kind of did the art himself on the original version. But the new version is going to have art from Rusem Bell, who also worked on Die of the Dead. That was another game from Mark. And Rusem Bell is also working on Damask. Now, this is a light hand management and set collection game. And the other thing that has changed from the first edition to the second edition is that the first edition played up to 4 players. This new version plays up to 6. And I mean, look at the artwork on this. This is great. I love this. I think they did a really good job updating this art, and I'm a fan of Rusem Bell, definitely, based on what I'm seeing here. So, another quick video. We're going to look at this 1-minute video, and then we'll go over the 2 pledges. There's just 2 pledges for this one, so it's a case of, if you like it, simple decisions to be made. I'm digging that. I'm digging the fact that more and more publishers are giving very simple options to backers, so they don't have to freak out and have a lot of anxiety trying to figure out what pledge to back or how to cobble things together using add-ons. It's nice when it's kept simple. They had a funding goal here of $1,600. It's just a simple card game. They're at $5,000, maybe $5,200. So they're well funded. They're about 3 times the funding goal. And let's take a look at this, and then we'll go over those 2 pledges.
Hi, welcome to the Kickstarter for Forks 2nd Edition. Fast-paced card game of collecting wisely and giving horrible choices. This is a re-theme of our game Forks, which we're delighted to say sold out completely last year after being featured on Jamie Stegmaier's My Favourite Game Mechanism series, and comes with all-new artwork from Rusem Bell. In Forks, players are competing to see who can make the most money from investing in destinations. Players simultaneously draw 3 cards from the deck, choosing one to keep as their investment and passing the other 2 along. Players then choose one of these 2 to keep, and the other goes in the middle, where it counts as marketing for that destination. When the deck runs out, the game is over. All invested cards are worth the money printed on the card, but cards of the 2 least marketed companies lose the printed value instead. The totals are added up, and the player with the most points wins. Forks is fast-paced, a proven hit, and we're selling it for the amazing price of just £10. Thanks for watching, and we hope you consider backing us on Kickstarter.
£10! What's £10 in US dollars? It's $13. So here are the 2 pledges. You've got Forks 2nd Edition, $13, $4 in shipping, $17 total. And then they did this Sleevers Edition, which is kind of cool because a lot of people like to sleeve games, especially card games, and sometimes once you sleeve those cards, they no longer fit in the box. And I think they're trying to be space conscious here with this. So the box for the 2nd edition is too small if you sleeve your cards. So if you're someone who sleeves cards, and I'm a huge believer in sleeving. I pretty much sleeve anything that I have that gets heavy card play. So certainly a card game is something that I would probably sleeve. So you've got this slightly more expensive Sleevers Edition. It does not come with sleeves. It just comes in a bigger box so that there will be room to accommodate the cards once they are sleeved. So this version is $19 with $4 in shipping, or $23 total. It's $6 more than the other version, and it's just bigger, and it will be able to hold all of the sleeved cards. And both of these versions are planning to be delivered relatively soon in June 2024. So just a few months off, but again, it's a fairly simple card game, so they're able to do that. Now from there, we're going to go over and take a look at Philharmonix. This is changing gears a little bit because this is much more a heavy Euro. And it's got a theme I don't think I've ever seen before, which is a space orchestra. It's an orchestra in space. It's music themed and it's space themed. It's also a worker placement game with action points and area majority. And from what I've seen so far, it looks like it's going to be in the heavy complexity. Now, this is also a February 13th launch, and the campaign will run until March 12th. Currently, they've got about $78,000 in funding off of a $20,000 funding goal, so they're just under 4 times that funding goal. It is designed by a Malaysian designer named Faris Suhaimi, and the artist is Daniel Cunha. Faris or Farid, this is their first published game, but Daniel Cunha, the artist, has also worked on Light in the Dark, another game from the same publisher that just delivered called Pest, as well as The Great Harbor, and later on you're going to see Tiny Epic Game of Thrones with art from this artist. And it's being published here by Arcona Games. They got started with the Small Empires series, so they did Small Star Empires, and then I think Small Railroad Empires and Small Samurai Empires. And all 3 games are kind of similar, reskinning, retheming, and then they did Magna Roma and Pest. So they're kind of expanding what they're doing and broadening and doing, let's say, more ambitious games, because this seems pretty ambitious to me. But they are still keeping this fairly simple. So there's a 2-minute video. We're going to take a look at that, and then we'll come back and we'll look at the 2 pledges. So there's only 2 pledges to worry about with this. There is an add-on, and we'll talk about that because it's a little bit odd the way they have it set up. But there is, I think, 1 add-on, as well as the ability to add on their previous games. But let's start with the video, and then we'll check out those 2 pledges.
Greetings and congratulations on getting the job as Space Orchestra Manager. Are you ready to embrace the melody of music and this 1 to 4 player worker placement game with a unique action system? There are many talented musicians across the galaxy. It would be best if you find them and recruit them in your orchestra. Practice with those precious talents relentlessly in order to unlock their full potential. Travel across the vast emptiness of the galaxy and guide your orchestra on your magnificent concert hall ship to perform in the orbit of mesmerizing planets. Develop your ship's hyperspace drive and internal systems so your travels across the vast space are more efficient. That way you can use the gain time to focus on more important tasks. Delight patrons with your performances as you perform outstanding pieces of music. Pleasing the patrons has its benefits. They will sponsor your musical journey and support your orchestra in its endeavor across the galaxy. Compose harmonious symphonies and create records to keep a digitalized trace of your music for ages to come, thus securing your musical legacy in the galaxy. Step into the role of a space orchestra manager with Philharmonix, a worker placement game that combines music and sci-fi for an out-of-this-world experience.
I think this looks really cool, although the voice sounds very AI robotic to me. But it looks pretty compelling, this game, and very, very different from anything I've really seen before with this theme. And Arcona Games has done, half a dozen games or so before, so this isn't like a new publisher, really. You may or may not have heard of them, but they have put out a bunch of games already. All right, let's take a look at these pledges. So, we've got retailer pledges and stuff like that, but the two pledges that you really need to be concerned with are the standard pledge here, which is an $80 pledge with $18 in shipping for $98 total. And then the deluxe pledge, which is a $100 pledge with $23 in shipping for $123 total. So what is the difference between these two pledges, you ask? Let's look at the components section. So here is what you're getting in the base game. You get the main board, those kind of musician stages for each of the players, the player boards, an insert, these musician tiles, all this stuff. This is what you're going to be getting in either version of the game, right? All these kind of wooden markers and things. And then here is the upgrades. These are what you're going to be also getting if you get the deluxe. So some screen printed ships, dual layer player boards, acrylic cubes, screen printed action meeples, and acrylic money tokens. Some pretty cool updates, I think. Like, I'd probably rather, get the deluxe version. It is a $24 difference, so I guess it's up to you to decide whether or not those improved components are worth $24 or not. There's also this patron pack. This is a Kickstarter exclusive. I believe everyone's just getting this. Then there's this ultimate conductors box that they're talking about. Okay. This is the important thing, though, this Galactic Festival, because this is actually labeled as an add-on. And it's cheap. It's only $5. It's just this little kind of module, I think, but it's not actually in an add-on section. Right? And if you go over here, oftentimes if we click on the details, it will tell you, okay, you can add this thing on. But look, there's nothing available to be added on. You can see in the standard pledge, you're getting the patron pack along with the stretch goals. And then in the deluxe, you're adding on that deluxe pack, but there's no way to add on that extra little $5 add-on. However, let's go back to shipping here, I think. So where they list the shipping and taxes, they've also got this list of add-ons here as well. And these are a lot of their other games. So you've got Small Samurai Empires, Small Railroad Empires, Magna Roma, and Pest. And it's obvious here that these games you will be able to add on in the Pledge Manager. And so it's become obvious to me throughout looking at this, when I was kind of researching this, that other little extra, where is it? I need to go back up to it. Past the gameplay. It's obvious that this to me is going to be an add-on that you can do in the Pledge Manager only, since you're not able to add it on your pledge. So if this is something you want, just be aware, and then if you pledge it, when it gets to the Pledge Manager section, remember you need to go back and add this on, because it doesn't seem like you're going to actually be able to do that within this campaign itself. And then finally, Philharmonix is planning to deliver in May 2025, so they've given themselves a pretty wide berth on this one. There's no miniatures, there's no plastic in this game, but there are some deluxe components. There's a lot of board components and those little kind of orchestras for each player. So they've given themselves some time to get this done, and they're currently anticipating that they're going to deliver this in May of 2025. Okay, from there, we're going to take a look at the final Kickstarter campaign of the video. Also February 13th launch, and this campaign is going to run until February the 29th. They had a $10,000 funding goal. They're currently at $27,000, so they're well funded. They're 2.5 to 3 times their funding goal right now. And this one's being put out by a Chilean publisher named Fractal Juegos. They've also published some games called Simplicity, the new version of the Kiesling and Kramer game, Sansuchi. They're working on that. They've got Tough Calls and Tori Tori Endangered Species. And then this is a co-design between 3 designers, Yaniv Kahana, who's worked on Rule the Realm and Your Best Life, and Peony Schechter, who's worked on Cargo Empire, Edge of Humanity, and Steam Pirates. And then the third designer is the designer that really has me interested in the game, and that is Simone Luciani. So Simone Luciani has designed a lot of heavy games, including Barrage, Darwin's Journey, Gollum, Grand Austria Hotel, Lorenzo Il Magnifico, Newton, Nucleum, Toledum, Zokin the Mayan Calendar, and The Voyages of Marco Polo. So that is a huge slate of really good heavy games. But this is not a really heavy game. This is more of a simple, abstract, set collection, pattern building game with area majority and contracts. But the fact that he's involved with this has me a lot more interested in it and believing that it's going to be a really good, solid design. There is a 2-minute video here, so we're going to take a look at this, and then we'll go over the 2 different pledge levels that are available if this is something that you want to back.
In fact, I can almost imagine this game winning the Spiel des Jahres. In fact, I'm calling it now, folks.
This is a fantastic gateway game. I'm super impressed.
This one here, I think, is a really neat one to check out. So that's Sea Dragons.
If this doesn't win the Spiel des Jahres, I think it'll get a runner-up, nominated.
We had a great time with this. This is a really easy game to recommend. I highly recommend it.
Humanity has become more daring when sailing the forbidden waters, challenging their legendary guardians, which will do anything to protect them. Sea Dragons. Play one of the pattern cards in your hand and place your dragon using the depicted shape. Collect everything your dragon is placed on and pay 2 coins for each turbulent water space that you have occupied. If you have placed your dragon adjacent to an opponent, they receive a coin. Use the ships you have sunk to complete missions. Don't forget to explore coral reefs to gain valuable rewards. End your turn by drawing a new pattern card for future rounds. Gain victory points for your remaining coins and ships, the missions you completed, and the majorities you win in each of the 4 sea realms. Sea Dragons. Protect the sea realms from invaders, collect their gold, and may the best clan emerge victorious. Back now on Kickstarter.
So this is one of those games that it's not reinventing the wheel. They're doing things that we've seen before. They've got contracts. There's some kind of area majority, some pattern building. But the theme of this, like those very cool looking serpents and the way you put out their little humps on the different tiles, makes this really unique. And I think it makes it look really cool. Like I've played games with these kinds of mechanics before. I generally like heavier games, but I'm really liking the theme and the design of this. I think it's pretty cool. So we've got 2 pledges really to be concerned with. The first is Sea Dragons, the base pledge here. It is a $38 pledge with $9 in shipping for $47 total. They do have limited quantities for this entire campaign, so just be aware of that. But right now they've still got 2/3 of the main pledge left. So there's still plenty of copies. And then they've also got this Sea Dragons and Games Beyond Borders. This is a $95 pledge with $16 of shipping for $111 total. So it is like $65 more than the previous pledge. But you're getting 3 additional games in this pledge. Here it is, Games Beyond Borders. So I'm not going to talk about these games or the designers and artists the way I sometimes do, because they're just kind of additional to this campaign. But there are 3 additional games you could be getting with that pledge. Pátzcuaro, Neuro Riders, and Cosmic Cow. So there are 250 of these, 180 left. So these are in more limited quantity than the other one, but there are still a bunch of these left. And then Fractal Juegos is planning on delivering Sea Dragons in August 2024. So it's another game that's not that far out. Like it's going to deliver within 6 months or so. And that takes us back to Gamefound for the final campaign of the week. It's called Steam Power from Wallace Designs. This is going to run until March the 5th. This was also a February 13th launch. And they currently have $107,000 in funding off of a $90,000 funding goal. So they're funded, but they don't have a huge multiplier going, but they're funded. All right, this is designed by Martin Wallace, who a lot of gamers know. He's designed such games as Anno 1800, Age of Steam, Australia, Brass, and Railways of the World. And if you know some of his history, it's interesting because he kind of redesigned and sold off his train games several different times. It basically became Age of Steam with one publisher and Railways of the World with another publisher. Age of Steam is a little heavier. He also designed Australia, which has some Cthulhu stuff and monsters roaming the countryside, but it also does have a train building element to it. So it does feel like Martin Wallace has done a lot of train building games, and here he is back with another one. We will watch this video, and I'll say the thing that makes this, I think, unique, because you're still building train routes and train tracks, and I think you're doing some pick up and deliver. We'll see that in the video. But you are building these stations that sort of put resources onto a certain tile, and then you'll be able to use those stations and the resources from them. And it makes it feel to me like he's bringing a little bit of like the brass element into, you know, his normal train game. It also looks like it's probably a bit simpler than Age of Steam. The art on this is by Leith Walton, who previously worked on Bloodstones, which is another Martin Wallace design that he published through his company Wallace Designs. Wallace Designs is a relatively new publishing entity. It's Martin Wallace's company, and the two games of his that have published previously were Bloodstones and Fighting Fantasy Adventures. So Leith has worked on Bloodstones and also a couple of games called Forest Fire and Rare Roses. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at the video here, and then we will take a look at, again, a fairly simple kind of pledge selection, just 2 pledges with a couple of add-ons.
Steam Power, the new train game from Martin Wallace. This beautiful deluxe edition offers an elegant blend of network building and resource production. While it's easy to learn and quick to play, there are hidden depths to the game that will draw you and your friends back again and again. On your journey, you will lay track tiles, build factories to gather resources, and use those resources to fulfill contracts. All with the aim of scoring the most victory points. Get on board with Steam Power. The deluxe edition launches soon exclusively on Gamefound. Follow us now.
I'm really liking this, but I love train games. But I own Age of Steam and Railways of the World, so I don't think I'll be backing this. But I actually think it looks pretty cool. Kind of a new take on the genre. All right, let's take a look at these various pledges that they've got going on. There are a bunch that we're not going to pay attention to, like Surveyor, which is just, you know, get into the pledge manager and figure out later what you're going to do. And then they have a couple of these bundle pledges that are giving you group pledges for the 2 different versions of the game. So we're just going to concern ourselves with those 2 different versions of the game. The first is called Ticket Controller. This is a $40 pledge with $15 of shipping for $55 total. And this is just going to get you the retail version of the game. And what's in the box? Well, you're going to be getting wooden player trains, wooden player factories, wooden cubes, resources here, contract cards, coins, track tiles, city tiles. These are obviously, you know, cardboard. Everything looks nice, but it's kind of that generic sort of resources. If we look at the Station Master Pledge here, which is almost, well, it's more than double. It's a $99 pledge. It's got $15 of shipping as well. It's $114 total. So you're jumping from $55 to $114. It's basically double once you account for shipping for both of the pledges. So this is the deluxe version. Let's see what is different, right? Now you're getting PVC trains, PVC factories, PVC resources. these contract tiles that I'm not sure what they are. They could be PVC as well, or they're maybe some kind of like a little clay tile. Also the coins and the track tiles, but they're, you know, chonkier, and they're not just cardboard. Also the case with the city tiles here. So, I mean, I would totally be going for this version of the game if I was backing it. It just looks so nice. But I think the other one's probably fine as well if you're trying to save $50. All right, so that is the difference between the two, and they're planning to deliver this in February 2025, so about a year for this one. And that wraps the video. Those are the 9 different campaigns that launched within that time period from February 7th to the 13th that I think look really cool, and I wanted to share with you and pass along to you. I definitely would be interested in hearing in the comments which games you're considering backing. I'm at the point with my own collection where I have way too many games. I need to get rid of games, and I'm trying to be a lot more selective about anything new that I bring in. And there are a lot of games in this week that I'm really intrigued by. But because I'm trying to tighten the belt, I think the only thing I may end up backing is the new Aeon's End content, just because I have almost everything previously, and I can't say no to more Aeon's End. But there's a lot of really good choices, I think, in this week's video for you to choose from in terms of what you might want. And there are a lot of games from, you know, first-time designers or smaller publishers or publishers who are bringing games to a US audience for the first time. And I just think there's a lot of really cool, intriguing choices in this week's video. So let me know what you're thinking, if there's anything that you're probably going to back or not. I'm curious to hear what my audience is most interested in. And then I will be back in another week with a new video. I can't say that there will be 9 campaigns in that video. It feels like that's a lot, but you never know. There could be. I think we're starting to get a little bit further into the year now. We're out of the holiday period, and I think publishers are going to start ramping up their crowdfunding campaigns again. So I think we will be seeing more campaigns every week now than we were from, you know, like early December through end of January. So I hope you had a good time with me today, looking at some videos, thinking about some board games. I'd also love to hear what you're currently playing, and I hope over the next week you'll get in some really good games, have some good board game time, and take care of yourselves just in general. And I will see you very soon in the next one next week. So come back and join me then for more crowdfunding goodness. Take care, and I'll see you soon.